once again, welcome to Mima's Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this beautiful handbag here. So for this bag we're going to need a scissors, a button. This is a 20mm in diameter button, a sewing thread, a needle for the button. You're also going to need 7 stitch markers. If you don't have stitch markers, you can even use short strings of yarn. If possible, just have one color stitch marker that is different from the rest. We want to use it to mark the starting point. Okay, I'm also going to be using macrame as my yarn. This is 3mm macrame, and you can use any other type of yarn that you have. Just make sure that it is thick or about 3mm thick. Even t-shirt yarn would do. I'm also going to be using a 6mm crochet hook. So let's begin. So we're going to begin with a chain of 17. Okay, so I'm going to begin with my slip knot here. Okay, so I'm going to do a chain of 17. We're going to be crocheting in US stems. Okay, 2, 3, 4. So I now have my chain of 17. Now we're going to do our first round, and we're going to be doing single crochet. So I'm going to skip this first stitch from the hook and insert my hook in the second chain. Okay, and grab my yarn, pull it out so that I have 2 loops, yarn over, and then pull through both loops. This is my first single crochet. Okay, and then in the next chain I insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, pull through both loops. Okay, so I'm going to put my stitch marker here in the first single crochet that we did, and I'm going to put this one. This is going to mark my starting point. Okay, so I'm going to continue with 1 single crochet in each chain. Okay, like that, into the next. So I'm just going to continue with single crochet up until I'm here. Okay, so now I'm here. I'm left with 1 chain, this one. So in this chain we're going to put 5 single crochets. Okay, and the other chain, the other stitches are going to cater for the distance that we're going to do as we turn, so that we start crocheting in the back of the chains. Okay, so let me just cut this tail here so that it becomes a bit shorter. So I'm going to put 5 single crochets, okay, in this chain. Okay, so this is 1, okay, and this is 2. So in the second one I'm going to put a stitch marker. Okay, the one that I just did, and then this is 3, I'm going to put another stitch marker there. Okay, and this is 4, I'm going to put another stitch marker in this one, like that, and then the 5th one, like this. Okay, so I've put 5 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 of them, the ones in the middle, I've put 3 stitch markers. Okay, so now I'm going to crochet in the back of the chains. So I've been setting my hook in the back of each chain in this holes. Okay, so now this, insert my hook and continue with single crochet. Okay, like that. Okay, so I'm just going to continue crocheting in the back of the chains up until I'm left with 1 here at the end. Okay, so I'm left with this 1 chain here, the back of this chain. So you find that we already have this 1 stitch that we did, so it's going to count also. Remember, in this one we put 5, but here instead of putting 5 we're just going to put 4 plus this one, there will be 5. Okay, so I'm going to put 4 single crochet in this back of the chain here. So that's 1. I'm going to put another one, 2, and I'm going to put a stitch marker in this one. Okay, and then third. So you can push your stitches so that they all fit. Put another stitch marker in there, and then the last one, this one. Okay, so I'm going to put another stitch marker in this one. Okay, so I now have 7 stitches with stitch markers, here 3 and here 4. So you find that this one's 3 and this one's 3, we're going to be increasing our stitches in this stitches with stitch markers, okay? But this blue one is just marking the starting point, okay? Now we'll move on to the second round. So I'm just going to remove this one, it's marking the starting point, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet in that stitch, okay? Like that. And then I'm going to put back my stitch marker in that stitch. So I'm going to continue with 1 single crochet in each stitch, okay, up until I'm at a stitch which has got a stitch marker, okay. In the next, I put 1 single crochet, in the following 1 single crochet, okay. So continue with 1 single crochet, and let's meet in this stitch here. Okay, so I've done single crochet in the other stitches which do not have stitch markers. So now I'm at this first stitch marker here. I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets in this stitch, okay. That's 1, and then I'm going to put back my stitch marker in the first stitch that I do in that stitch, okay, and then I'm going to put another single crochet in that stitch, okay. So that's an increase. We've increased our stitches with 1, okay. So I've put 2 single crochets in this stitch, and I'm going to repeat the same in this other stitch with the stitch marker. That's 1. Remember to put back the stitch marker back in the first stitch that you do, okay, and then another stitch to make them 2, okay. And then I move on to the third one. I'm going to put 2 again, okay, and also I'm going to put back the stitch marker in the first stitch of that increase, okay, like that. Okay, so you'll find that we have increased 1, 2, 3 stitches, okay. So I'm going to continue with 1 single crochet in the rest of the stitches that do not have stitch markers, and let's meet here and put extra stitches like we did here. Okay, so now I'm here at this next stitch marker here. We're almost done with our round. So I'm going to put 2 stitches here like we did in the other stitches with stitch markers. I put back my stitch marker in the first stitch, okay, and then I put the second one like that, okay, and move on to the next one. I put 2 stitches, 1, and then I put another one, 2, and then I put back the stitch marker in the first one, okay, and then I move on to the last one. This is the last stitch of the round. Remember, this one is marking the first stitch, so this is the last stitch. So I'm going to put 2 single crochets in that. That's 1. I put back the stitch marker, okay, and then I put the second one. So you find that at the beginning we had 38 stitches. Now we have added 6 more, okay. So each round is going to be increasing stitches with 6, okay. So here we've done round 2, we're going to do round 3 and round 4, repeating what we just did here. Okay, this is the first stitch, so you just remove the stitch marker and put one single crochet in that. Remember that we are not increasing in this stitch. Okay, you just put one single crochet, and then the rest of the stitch markers we're going to be putting 2 stitches in each. Okay, so let's repeat round 2 more times and then come back with 4 rounds. Okay, we should have 56 stitches by then. Okay, so let's do that and then come back. Welcome back. So I've done the extra 2 rounds and now we have 56 stitches. Okay, so if you count right round, you should have 56 stitches. So now we're going to remove these stitch markers here. We no longer need them. The base of our bag is done. Okay, so now we want to start crocheting the sides of the bag. Okay, but before we go on to the sides, just to make our base more firm, we're going to do slip stitch right round, okay, up until our back here. So this stitch here, we're going to remain with this stitch marker up until we finish our back. Okay, this stitch marker is marking the starting point. So here we're going to do slip stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this. With slip stitch, you insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then pull it out, pull it through again. Okay, so I'm going to put back the stitch marker in the stitch. Okay, and then in the next stitch, slip stitch and over, pull through, and then pull through again. Okay, pull through again. Okay, so we're just going to repeat this right round. Okay, should come out like this. This is our slip stitch. Okay, and then in the sides we should have 3 loops like this. Okay, so let's continue with slip stitch right round up until we're back here at the starting point. Okay, so this is now my base. I've just completed the slip stitch right round. So now we're going to crochet the sides. So what I'm going to do here, this one, I'm just going to pull this loop here, this one. So I'm going to insert my hook here, and then I'm going to pull this the other side like that. Okay, then I'm going to insert my hook here. Okay, I'm just going to do a chain 1, and this is not going to count as a stitch. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to be inserting our hook in the back loop only, and then we're going to do single crochet. Okay, so that's 1 single crochet in each stitch in the back loop. Okay, so you find that we have 3 loops, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, 1, 2 and 3, and this is the back loop. Okay, so we're going to do 1 single crochet in the back loop. So I'm going to put back the stitch marker here in the starting point, the starting stitch. Okay, so in the next back loop, this one. Okay, hope it's visible like that. Back loop, 1 single crochet in the back loop so that it looks like this. Okay, so let's continue with 1 single crochet in the back loop right round up until we're back here at the starting point. Welcome back. So I've just completed our first round for the sides. This is single crochet in the back loop. Okay, and this is how it looks like. Okay, so this is the inner side of our bag, and this is the outside. Okay, the wrong side and the right side. Okay, like this. As you can see that it is starting to curve inwards. Now here I've just completed and I didn't join. We're just going to continue as it is. So now we want to introduce the stitch for the sides. Okay, we're going to be doing the diagonal chevron stitch. Okay, here is how you do the chevron stitch. Okay, the diagonal chevron stitch. So this is my first stitch here, so I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Okay, so this is the first one. I'm going to put 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to put back my stitch marker in there. Okay, and then in the next stitch here I'm going to put another single crochet. Okay, however in the third one here we're not going to put a single crochet, but rather I'm going to insert my hook. So we're going to insert our hook. This is our first stitch here. Okay, so we have this space here. Okay, this is our second stitch. We have this space here. Okay, so we're going to insert our hook here. So I'm going to do like this. Grab my yarn and then pull through. So pull it long enough. Okay, and then yarn over. Now this is my third stitch, okay, that we want to crochet into, but we're not going to crochet into this one. So I skip this space and then I go into this space here. Grab my yarn and then pull through. Okay, so that you have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on your hook. Okay, like that. Yarn over, yarn over, and then pull through all the 4 loops like this. Okay, so this stitch here, the third stitch, we're going to skip it and then we move on into the next stitch. Okay, so in this next one I'm going to do 1 single crochet. In this next one I'm going to do 1 single crochet. Okay, and then again I repeat what we did here. So I come into this stitch here and then insert my hook. Okay, grab my yarn, pull through, yarn over. So this is the stitch that we are at. So I go 1, 2 below, yarn over, and then pull through. Okay, so that I have 4 loops here. Yarn over and then pull through. Okay, so you find that here we did this we inserted our hook in this stitch and then in this one. So here again we inserted in this one and then in this one. You find that we're skipping 2 stitches here and then we insert. Okay, that would be easier. So make sure that you skip this stitch here. Okay, so again we begin the sequence, 1 single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Okay, that's 1. In the next stitch, 1 single crochet again, that's 2. So the third one, this one, we insert our hook here. Okay, and then pull it long enough, yarn over. Okay, so you find that we inserted here, so I just count 1, 2, and then in the third here I'm going to insert here 2 rounds below. Okay, then yarn over and then pull through. Okay, like this. So I'm just going to continue repeating what we just did right round up until I'm left with 2 stitches here. Okay, so just continue, and if you want you can rewind and then look at how we did this 3 and then just continue up until you're back here. Okay, so welcome back. Now I'm left with 2 stitches here, and you can see this is our pattern. Okay, so here I'm going to put 1 single crochet in this one. Okay, just like we were doing, then another single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so the first stitch here is going to be our third stitch like we were doing, so we're going to do a continuation. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove my stitch marker here. So I'm going to insert my hook just like we were doing. Okay, here, grab my yarn, pull it through. Okay, yarn over. So you find that this is the stitch that we're working into. Okay, so this is 1 and then this is 2, so I insert. Okay, grab my yarn, then pull it through long enough. Okay, yarn over and then pull through. So this is now my first stitch. Okay, like that. So we skip this stitch here and then this becomes our first stitch. Okay, so I move on into the next stitch. Okay, this one, 1. Okay, and the next one, 2. I insert my hook. Okay, this is the second stitch, this is the first stitch, so I insert it here and then pull through, yarn over. Okay, so here this is the third stitch here, so I insert my hook 2 rounds below, just like we were doing. So this is 1 and this is 2. Okay, so this is the hole here and this is the next hole. Okay, so we're going to insert into this one. You'll find that this second round and the third going up, they'll be much easier because we've just been setting our hooks into these holes. Okay, so again we repeat the sequence, 1 and the next one, 2. Okay, we have 2 stitches now, 1, 2. So I'm going to insert my hook here, pull my yarn. Okay, yarn over. This is the third stitch. Okay, so this is 1 and then I'm going to insert into here. Okay, yarn over and then pull through. You can see the pattern here. Okay, again, 1, 2. Okay, so for the third stitch I'm going to insert my hook here and then pull through, yarn over, 1 and then I'm going to insert my hook into this. Okay, yarn over, pull through all the 4 loops. Okay, so this is the stitch that we want. So we're going to continue repeating our second row up until we have 11 rounds. Sorry, not rows, 11 rounds. Okay, so let's repeat this pattern. Okay, in the first 2 stitches you put 1 single crochet in each, and then in the third stitch you do not insert your hook in the third stitch, but rather you first insert it in the stitch behind this one, and then you yarn over again, insert your hook 2 rounds below here, and then you yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. Okay, so let's repeat that up until we have 11 rounds and then come back. Come back. So we've just done 11 rounds and this is how our bag now looks like. This is a very nice stitch. Okay, it is also a bit stiff and this gives our bag a nice shape. So here, to complete the 11th round, we want to finish off the stitch so that we can introduce another stitch, slip stitch. Okay, and then we put the handles. Okay, so here I've just put 1 single crochet in the stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to put another one in the last stitch. Okay, so from there I'm going to insert my hook, and then we're going to be doing our slip stitch in the back loop. So to begin off our slip stitch, I'm going to insert my hook in the first stitch here in the back loop only, yarn over and then pull through. Okay, so this now is our first stitch. Okay, so I'm going to put back my stitch marker in there. Okay, so I'm going to continue with slip stitch. Okay, like that in the back loop. Okay, like that in the back loop, like that. Okay, slip stitch right round. Okay, like this. So let's do slip stitch in each and every stitch right round up until we're back here at the starting point. Okay, so I've done slip stitch here. Okay, so let's do another round of slip stitch and then we'll come back to put a buttonhole. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with slip stitch one more round. Okay, slip stitch in the back loop. Okay, this is my first stitch. Remember to put back the stitch marker here. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with slip stitch another round and then come back. So here I've done another round of slip stitch. So now we want to put our buttonhole. Okay, so what we're going to do is from here, we want our buttonhole to be, let's say this is going to be the front. So we're going to count 14 stitches from the last stitch here. You just choose which side you want, okay, but we just want to put it in the 14th stitch, okay, the middle stitch. Okay, we have 56 stitches, so here we have 28 this side and 28 that side, so divide by 2, we have 14. Okay, so I'm just going to count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14. So here I'm going to put a stitch mark here. Okay, so this is where our buttonhole is going to be. Okay, so I'm going to continue with slip stitch. Okay, slip stitch in the back loop again. Okay, so remember to put back the stitch marker. So I'm going to do slip stitch right round, and let's meet here so that we put the buttonhole. So here I'm at the stitch marker where we want to put our buttonhole. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to chain 1. Okay, let's chain 2. The space should be enough for our button. Okay, so I'm just going to chain 2, and we're going to skip the stitch here, and then insert our hook in the next stitch, and then continue with slip stitch. Okay, so that we have created a small hole there. Okay, so I'm going to continue with slip stitch up until the round is done. So I'm going to do another round of slip stitch. So I'm going to complete here and then do another round of slip stitch right round. Even here you also do slip stitch, okay, and then come back. So let's finish this one and then do another round and then come back. Welcome back. Okay, so I've just completed the other round. Okay, so this is our buttonhole. Okay, right, we no longer need the stitch marker here. So now we want to put the handles. Okay, so this is our bag so far. Okay, now we want to put the handles. So what we're going to do is we want to put stitch markers. Okay, so we're going to put the first stitch marker in stitch number 5, beginning in the first stitch here. So 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, I put my stitch marker, then another one in stitch number 24. Okay, so this is 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 22 23 24. Okay, so you'll find that here we've skipped 18 stitches. So this is number 5, number 24, and then another one in stitch number 33. Okay, so this is 24 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33. So we're going to put another one here in stitch number 33. Okay, like that, and then another one we're going to put it in stitch number 52. Okay, so here we're just going to skip the other chain that we did. So let's just say we're going to put it in stitch number 53. Okay, it is in place. This is where we want to put our handles. So we have number 5 24 33 and then 53. Okay, 53 because we added extra one here, but if we hadn't, it would have been 52. Okay, so now we're going to continue with slip stitch. So it's just going to be slip stitch up until we finish our bag. Okay, so this is our starting point. So I'm going to continue with slip stitch. And put back the stitch marker. Slip stitch. Slip stitch. Now here at the stitch marker, what we're going to do is I'm going to remove it. Okay, but instead of inserting our hook in the back loop, we want our handle to be a bit more firm. So I'm going to insert below both loops like that and still do slip stitch. Okay, right. Okay, like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to chain 32. Okay, So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I now have my chain of 32. So I'm going to join in this other stitch marker here. Okay, so I'm going to insert below both loops like we did here, and then I'm just going to join with slip stitch like that. Okay, this is our first handle, so I'm just going to continue in the next stitch, slip stitch in the back loop. Okay, up until at the next stitch marker and do our second handle. Okay, so we're just going to repeat what we did here with the second handle. Okay, like that. So now I'm at the next stitch marker. I'm going to remove it. Then I'm going to insert my hook below both loops like that. Then do slip stitch. I'm going to chain 32, 2, 3, 4. I now have my chain of 32. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to join in this other stitch marker here. Okay, insert my hook below both loops like that. Grab my yarn and do a slip stitch like that. Okay, so that we have both handles. So I'm just going to continue with slip stitch in the back loop. Okay, now we're back at the starting point. I'm still going to continue with slip stitch again. Let's put back the stitch marker. I'm going to do slip stitch in the back loop. So now in the handles here, we're still going to continue with slip stitch in the back loop. Okay, so in each chain you're just going to be inserting your hook like that and then do slip stitch. Okay, like that. So you're just going to continue slip stitch right round, including the chains that we just did, our handle like this. So I'm just going to continue right round up until we're back here at the starting point. Welcome back. So I've just completed slip stitch right round. Okay, so we still want to do one more round of slip stitch again. Okay, so just to make sure that our handles are firm. Okay, so let's do one last round of slip stitch and then come back. Welcome back. So these are our handles and we're done. So what we're going to do is we're going to join with the slip stitch the last stitch to the first stitch. Okay, and then we're going to cut and fasten off like that. Okay, so we'll fasten this off. Now here we have a buttonhole, so we want to put the button. Okay, so what we're just going to do is we're going to sew this button inside our bag directly opposite the buttonhole. Okay, so I'm going to sew it here. Okay, if you want you can count your stitches from here. This one is the 9th stitch. Okay, so you can count from here up to here. It's the 9th stitch. So I'm just going to sew it here and then come back. Welcome back. So I've just sewn the button inside here and I've fastened it off, and I've also cut all the other ends, and this is our bag and it's complete. Okay, if you have any questions, please do comment down below. I'll be happy to respond. Thank you for watching Mima's Crafts. Please do subscribe, like and comment for more videos. Thank you.